welcome to another episode of Who Corner to Corner podcast. My name is Paul. I'm here with my good friend Jeff, but we also have company in the beautiful form of the rather marvellous Mr. Al Dewar. Al, hello sir, how are you? You all right?
I'm very good. I've never been referred to in those terms, and I find that
no, it's never going to happen again, mate. Don't worry.
And it will never happen again. Exactly.
No.
I thought you were going to say it
moving swiftly on.
Well, do you know what? It's a thank you for showering us with some rather lovely gifts over the last few weeks.
Yes,
we love
much.
what we've had, so thank you very much for that. We've done a few on our YouTube channel, and we got some more secreted away for later. So thank you for.
Yeah, that's good. And the thing I love about you guys is you're very straight up. There's no, you're very honest people, and I appreciate that because if you think something's a bit shonky, you say
stay clear,
and,
basically.
Yeah, and if you think it's good, then you say it, and and that's actually better. I appreciate that more than somebody saying, "Oh, this is wonderful. You've done a brilliant job." And it's like if somebody goes, "This could have been better," or "Why didn't you do this?" or "Here's a question," So yeah, cool. I love the reviews. They're always very honest.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. Talking of reviews, we are going to be looking at episode 2, part 2 of Revelation of the Daleks.
Yes.
Very soon, aren't we, Jeff?
We are carrying on our 6th Doctor celebrations, and if you haven't caught part 1 of our commentary with Al, go and check that out, find that, and then come back and watch this. Should we get into it?
Yes, so I've got episode 2 of Revelation kind of queued up and ready to go. So if you're playing along at home, ladies and gentlemen, then do please feel free. Get your Blu-ray, your DVD, or your rather fabulous iPlayer or streaming service of your choice, as long as it's Doctor Who Revelation of the Daleks, Part 2, mate. Here we go. I'm going to go on 3, 2, 1. Are you ready, guys? Here we go.
Nice.
3, 2, 1. Diddly dum. Look at that.
You sound a very fast show there, Jazz Club. Smashing nicely.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. There we go. So last episode ended with old Sixie being crushed seemingly to death by a rather surprising giant gravestone with his face on it.
That's right.
Something like that.
That's quite a way to go, isn't it? Getting crushed by
crushed by your own tombstone.
A rendition of yourself.
By his own petard.
Yeah.
So here we go, part 2. Yeah.
Those titles are beautiful. Aren't they? So good.
There's nothing like a bit of 80s neon, frankly.
Yeah.
Al, you were saying last time that you hadn't seen this one for quite a while. You'd forgotten how good it was.
Yeah, it was. Do you know? It's one of those ones. It's you shouldn't say these things, I suppose, in reality. But I think on TV, I wasn't a huge fan of the 6th Doctor, and that's sacrilege in some ways. I know, but I think it was just because it became costume-wise, it became sort of blah blah blah. But there's no doubt about it in that particular story, and there was aspects of that kind of season that. It becomes very dark. I mean,
really dark.
By today's standards, you're in quite tricky territory because this story in particular, if you boil it down, it's Davros in basically a funeral home distilling.
Turning bodies into soup
out of dead people.
Yeah,
and the rest of it is going off as soup to feed the galaxy, and it's got such an air of doom. And I love those kind of stories. I absolutely love those stories. I'm always, I love Blade Runner, and I think it's for the same reason that. That sort of vision of the future that's a sort of Star Trek one with everything's fine and everything's wonderful. I'm less inclined towards that thinking. I'm more inclined towards that thinking of kind of like the future might not be as fun as everyone thinks, but it'll still be cool. But the sort of sense of doom that's sort of spread over this story is
it's quite pervasive, isn't it?
It is. It's fantastic. Right from the start, everything's sort of very played down. It's heavy. You get little snatches of things. You've got things like that thing we saw in the last episode. The Doctor and Perry are walking down that tunnel, and the Dalek just trundles past, and Perry kind of goes, "Oh, what the hell was that?" And it's just there's little snatches, and the Daleks just crawling around in the catacombs.
Yeah,
is just there's a
and this is one of the great reveals just coming up, I think, isn't it? When Colin, maybe not here, but there's a shot where he opens the door and there's Daleks just kind of waiting for him.
Yeah, and it's
when you watched this all originally out, I guess you were coming off from the Fifth Doctor, and was one of the reasons it didn't sort of gel for you initially because of that, pretty big contrast between them?
I suspect there's probably an aspect of that actually, but weirdly, I'm not a massive fan of the Fifth Doctor either in the sense.
Yeah.
And it's I grew up with Tom, John Pertwee, he's in charge. He's the smartest person in the room. Tom Baker, he's more than the smartest person in the room. He's ahead of you in the room.
He's 3 steps ahead.
He's just absolutely brilliant. And then suddenly you have a Doctor who's kind of a little bit uncertain and is quite apologetic about a lot of stuff. For me, I think as a kid, that was kind of like, what the hell's happened to the Doctor?
What's happened?
He was, I was watching All Creatures Great and Small on BBC One, and then later on I was watching Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And I think I didn't dislike it because it wasn't massively removed. I think with Colin's Doctor, I've always said the same thing. I absolutely love him on the audio. I think the Big Finish guy has done a fantastic job. Do I like him in the TV episodes? Not 100%, but I do think, and I recognise that I think he was very badly served in that aspect. I think, and I think I said it the last time, the Sixth Doctor was a wordsmith. He loved playing with words. His language was amazing. I think had he been presented slightly differently and a little bit less aggressively, I think he would have been a completely different character. And he might have resonated in a different way. But I'm not 100%. But this story in particular, yes, I just this along with Attack of the Cybermen is like, for me it's like, wow, you don't get much better than this. This is cool.
I think him, we all say it, I'm sure, but trying to strangle Perry was a really bad move, and in the show and creatively, and we talked about, didn't we, Paul? We know what they were going for with it, but the end result for the characters could have been achieved a better way probably. And I think if you were probably any age, but young, watching it, and not only has the Doctor changed, but now he's trying to strangle the companion, it's a double shocker, and
I think but that's what I mean by badly served, because if you fast forward 20-30 years to Peter Capaldi, he basically tried to do the same thing. He sort of said,
left Clara, didn't he?
Oh, let's take Doctor Who back to basics, and the first Doctor being alien, not necessarily associatable to, and slightly, aloof. And I think he pulls it off slightly better. Whereas with Colin's one, I agree with you. Strangling the companion, I think must have been really shocking for, even at the time. I remember going, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
Well, that was it, wasn't it? Kind of following Caves of Androzani, which was just amazing with something like that, and for that to be the final story of that season. So it wasn't, it was almost was it 6-7 months or so till we got the start of this season now.
Yeah, because they did. Yeah, they filmed that episode. Yeah, so I think I think if you were going to create a slightly more aloof, slightly more alien, detached Doctor, that might not have been the way to do it.
Yeah. I remember my wife's half brother was a big Who fan when he was younger, but he stopped watching when Capaldi started because he said,
that's rude.
you know, he was too old for a start, you know, and you know, when you were 12, 13-year-old lad, you know, I suppose, mate, yeah, okay, kind of get it, you know, but I think he was so kind of surprised by Deep Breath and, you know, kind of how dark it was that it put him off a little bit, you know, like we were just saying, you know, the Doctor leaves Clara, didn't he? And he runs off and she's facing
and
the,
again,
you know.
and it's exactly, I agree, it's exactly the same methodology. And it's interesting, and I do agree with you. My daughter was massively into Doctor Who. She watched Chris Eccleston. She very much liked when David Tennant took over. She loved when Matt Smith took over, and then when sorry, when Peter Capaldi came in, she kind of drifted away from it. And you know, the trouble is, you've set a precedent. You've relaunched the program, and you brought in a whole bunch of fans who all have a young, dashing Doctor and a companion, and then suddenly, and I agree with you. You know, you swap it out, and I think Peter Capaldi's stories are absolutely
but
brilliant.
For me, particularly season 8 and 9 are outstanding.
You know, your audience is there waiting to lap this up, are not old duffers like me. We'll accept whatever. But it's, you know, for Jasmine, I absolutely can tell you the minute Peter Capaldi came in, she tuned out completely. And it wasn't because the stories were bad. They weren't bad at all. But it was just that change of, where's the young, handsome guy or woman that I can get behind and kind of, you know, have a fun, you know, weekly. And I think now, unfortunately, we're beyond that, because now we're into an era where, you know, my son is next door at the moment playing PS5 and watching YouTube. I don't think he ever watches standard TV, what we call standard TV.
Yeah, it's changing behaviours, isn't it?
Channel occasionally, but you know, or Netflix they tune into. But you know, those days of sitting down as a family, you know, even when we do sit down as a family, we're sitting down and, you know, I'm sitting there going, let's watch this, and phone, iPad.
Yeah, I know. It's bizarre, isn't it?
I bet you've both done this as well. You know, I've said to my kids, you know, on a number of occasions, yeah, back in my day, you know,
back in my day, we
couldn't get it every second that we wanted.
Literally took the piss out of me this morning.
Here we go. This is the shot. Sorry, this is the shot. I love this. Here we go. Colin just walks straight into the Daleks. No way back. He's trapped like a fly in a web, and a little something to the guts there, which obviously knocks him out unconscious, because, you know, that's a secret thing that a punch of the guts does.
A bit of Venetian Aikido or something there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Al, what was your boy
that
saying?
Shot, because I love it so much.
No, but I remember, it is. I mean, you know, and I think you guys get it as well. You know, there was sometimes people just got it so right, and I think we discussed lighting the other day when we were chatting about it before, and it you know, lighting is everything. You know, these are catacombs. This is underground. Everything's kind of grim, and there's the smell of, you know, there's a fantastic, I don't know if you guys listen, I'm sure you do listen to The Big Finish, but so there's a Cyberman story with Peter Davidson called Spare Parts. And
yes, I love that one, don't we? Yeah.
Right in the end of it, where Thomas Dodds goes, "Oh, they smell of disinfectant," and Dodds goes, "They always smell of that." And it was like, bang!
That kind of brings it to life a bit more, doesn't it?
Oh my God. Yes, you can absolutely imagine that the Cybermen have just walked past, and it absolutely stinks of like disinfectant, TCP, because here's a robot with organic components stuck on it, trying to keep alive, and it's just absolutely brilliant, and it's exactly the same here. It's like
you're absolutely right.
Imagine those tunnels. Absolutely,
that's how they smell in my head. You smell the formaldehyde and all that stuff. You know, the chemicals that have been overused and just seeped into the stones because it's been used so much. You know,
100%. It just.
I've never sort of done that when watching something, but that's really interesting to try and picture yourself, in the space and the smells and everything, and kind of draw you further into everything and the horror of some stuff. Like you said, the catacombs here and things. It's a shame they should do it's a smell-o-vision for this. Maybe after the collection's complete, they'll put them out in smell-o-vision.
That'll be the next way to experience
I
these.
did one of those 4DX things with the Ghostbusters film.
Yeah.
It probably was earlier in the year or last year. And I thought it was a bit over the top in terms of the movement. It was kind of obviously there to kind
It's
of
where
give
you get
you a
sprayed in the face with all kinds of stuff and things.
Yeah. The smell of burnt marshmallow and whatever. It smell is massively evocative.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much of a.
I remember seeing the Beauty and the Beast live action in that, and all the smells of roses and stuff like that, and it was brilliant. And in summer holidays, went to Legoland with the family, and my son wanted to watch the Lego Dreams 4D film, and it was really good. You were getting sprayed and bubbles coming out and the wind blowing, and Ella, my youngest twin, was sitting next to me, and everything was coming out the screen. She was reaching for it and squealing with delight at it, and it was so good, and just because they're young and they don't know how the magic works, it just perfectly captured them. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I think it works really well, and it is that thing of even now. It's funny, it's weird. It's a weird thing for me because as I've got older, smell triggers a lot more weirdly than it ever used to, and I don't know
what for memories and things. I
don't know why that is, but smell kind of just bang. I've got quite a visual sort of sense of memory, so it's I don't know whether it's my brain sees something it recognizes and it pings to my nose, and my nose smells because it smells that thing, but it does.
So is it like you smell the smell you remember kind of thing? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I get. I get same, and then in my head, suddenly I'm back in the hallway at my grandparents' in Cornwall or something like that.
Exactly.
At a friend's house in America, was something I had recently, and it must be all buried in there somewhere, and then these little things pop it out.
This is another bit. I love this,
scene, isn't it?
Yeah,
the two Daleks just sort of quietly
Kara and
trundle in.
Vogel, isn't it? Yeah, and he's so affronted. He's so how could you be in here? And then they just blast the crap out of him. That's it.
That's exactly
this is a really hammy death, but I love it because it still kind of works. It's just right that character would be kind of right up until the point he dies, so theatrical almost, and so still really so devoted to Kara.
That thing of he doesn't actually. It was interesting. I was reading something else. It's like, why did you survive? I think it was Strange New Worlds, and they were like, why did you survive?
Oh, yeah.
I thought I was going to die, and they were like, what difference? And she was trying to explain that these people that don't believe they're going to die, they kind of like that last thoughts are absolute astonishment because they don't expect it.
And that's his reaction, isn't it? He doesn't expect it. It's like, Daleks shouldn't be in here. Why are they here? They can't hurt me. This is my place. Boom, off he goes.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about the Daleks. That sort of it changes occasionally, but it never. If I had a general rule to apply to the Daleks, is like never call their bluff because absolutely they're going to kill you.
Right, just going to talk about this bit for a moment because here we've got Davros showing to Tassenbeck, who loves Jobelt, right? The creepy kind of chief of the whole thing. Davros is enjoying turning her against him, showing her what Jobel does behind her back, how he treats women, how he treats her, what he thinks of her. He is playing on her. He wants her to be with it, but it's almost like Davros wants Tassenbecker to give herself to Davros out of her own free will, and he's steering her down his path. We've never ever seen Davros like this until this very moment.
No, we haven't, and I think it's quite interesting because there's excuse my parlance, but there's a sexual aspect to this as well, which is
there is
desire, and it's Davros playing on her desire for Jobel, and he's kind of playing on that a little bit, and it's like you wouldn't think Davros would even think on that level because we've never seen it.
Here's another good shot. Is it here? This is one. This is an offer you can't refuse. And the way that Dalek eye stalk just comes into shot in the foreground.
You know, that was held by hand. That wasn't
really,
isn't it?
That was, somebody literally walked in and held it by hand because
but it works.
if the Dalek trundled in, it was blocking the view.
Take everything
yes, it
out,
would do, wouldn't it, with its skirt bit? Yeah,
with its big
that was a
base
nice
and
pull focus between Davros and her and the plunger.
It's funny, the Orsini relationship as well, isn't it? It's slightly. I think they got his character really right. It's kind of They talk about killing people with absolute. They're so detached from it, and yet when they talk together about honor and whatever, it's like you feel the emotion. So it's a really
you're right.
It's a really contradictory kind
of. But the way this kind of the grand order of Oberon is kind of just drip fed with information throughout. You get the feeling that he comes from something with a real background. There's a real story to this. And the Doctor's reaction here when he tries to take Orsini down, Orsini casually hands his cane to the Squire and then does the Doctor in and then takes his cane back. I mean, it's brilliant. And the Doctor says, "Only I could be so foolish," or something. It's coming up now, actually, isn't it? The way he says it. Only I would be stupid enough to attack such a person. The grand
that little
order
bit with
of
the cane is a nice little character moment, isn't it? And you wonder whether it was scripted or they just, planned
they might just wait for that in rehearsal. Yeah.
But it adds some more depth to them.
Again, it's nicely lit, isn't it?
He's so straight, though, doesn't he? So, and so matter of fact, it's like, this is the plan. This is what's happening. Don't try and cock it up.
Yeah. And he's definitely in charge, isn't he? As far as he's concerned, that's it. And he's obviously set the prisoners up to be kind of scapegoats or distractions for the Daleks to draw them away from what he's doing. This is a nice little prop, isn't it? There's this sarcophagus type thing. Is it the president's wife, I think?
Yeah.
The great healer.
This is the how could I ever love a fawning little creep like you speech.
This is the moment, yeah. So and it's a moment where Tassan Becker, she's gone with Davros. We think she's been drawn into his web. We think she's going to go for it because it looks like she's got no other choice. And, she's seen what Joe Bella's like. She's seen what an absolute monster he is and how much he completely disrespects her and doesn't want to have anything to do with it. And yet she still risks her life to get him out of this situation, to stop him being turned into a Dalek or whatever it is. And then in the end, of course, it all ends tragically. His emotions get the better, but
it is funny though, isn't it? It's back to that Silence of the Lambs thing. What do you covet? You covet the thing you see every day, and she's seen him all the time, and she's in love with him, and she thinks he's amazing, and there's like that sort of huge revelatory moment where she kind of suddenly goes, "This guy just doesn't."
Yeah. See, look, she wants to help him get away.
He doesn't even notice me.
Yeah. Why could I possibly want to run away with you? I'm the pick of the women here. I'd rather run away with my own mother. Eric Sayward is having an absolute ball with his dialogue,
isn't he? I'd rather
run
away with my own mother. That's a nasty analogy. If ever there was one.
There she goes. Now this is her. She's kind of he's crossed the line now with her, and she's snapped.
Yeah. And this is like, that whatever's in that vial is something vile.
Very good. Yeah, the vial of vile. Oh, this is so tragic to see. I mean, I'm spellbound by this. And
look, this is
every time
I
love
the camera as well.
I love
That's quite unusual.
When she does it, he collapses and then he falls down and his wig falls off.
It's it just kind of drops off to one side. Yeah,
ultimate indignity of just like having, yourself laid bare at that final moment.
Again, this is another death where he's like, well, she can't. If I'm going to be killed, it can't be by her. What? She killed me.
But isn't that horrific in a way?
Yeah.
And then here come the Daleks, and they're
she's distraught. Everything she wanted is now gone by her own hand. There's no going back. And then just when you think it can't get any worse,
that's what I mean. The Daleks turn up, and then it's like that sort of, it's like you suddenly kind of this is the kind of, oh crap, it's all going downhill from this point. kind of moment where,
and then you cut from that to the DJ who's just having a laugh, going
boogie, yeah. Why is Marilyn Monroe on the wall?
I'm not going to comment on that because you know my feelings on the DJ.
I know we do, but I love the disconnect between the bad comedy of the DJ and the tragedy of what's going on in the catacombs and the human drama on that side. You know, in fact, when you cut from there to the other.
But I feel like Perry does nothing in this story.
Yeah, she's
kind of sidelined a bit,
and she's massively sidelined, and the DJ is kind of almost there to be her little bit of the story. But in reality, I mean, if you're ruthless and look at it, Perry doesn't do anything. I'd almost rather have not had. That sounds terrible. I'd almost rather have not had her in there because I don't think it adds anything to the story.
Yeah.
I think there's a moment where she's kind of in danger, I guess, isn't there? But it's I see. To be honest, I mean it never bothered me, and it still doesn't, because I think she's got to be in there somewhere. But does she add to the story? Probably not. Does she do anything which kind of changes the outcome of events?
I think it's a fabulously strong story for Colin. I think Colin's performance in this is just brilliant, top notch. You know. This stuff, you know, this kind of like his sense of shit's going down and you guys need to be kind of ready for it is very, you know, kind of absolutely on point. Yeah. This is where his Doctor, I think, really shines in this story. Yeah, and it's really one of those stories where virtually, you know, it's like. And again, it's one of the ones I like because I always liked the Tom Baker stories and the other stories where Doctor turns up.
Yeah.
Doctor Who for me is always Doctor turns up. Here's the problem. Fix the problem. Some people die. Everybody dies. Nobody dies. And this is where everybody dies. And it's
like a flowchart.
And it's like. It's like a proper kind of like, you know, they take off at the end and it's a bit, again, I draw the line to Attack of the Cybermen because it's that thing of, at the end, it's kind of mostly regret because they couldn't really change anything hugely. But
Attack of the Cybermen is a massively high body count. I think everybody but the Doctor and Perry die in that, don't they?
Yeah. And it's blood on the floor and all sorts. The same in this, apart from Takis and the other guy, where the Doctor at the end says, "Oh, you might want to think about
with the soy flowers,
the protein from the flower."
This guard's about to get it. Oh dear!
This is a great bit as well because we've had Davros in this little thing, and it's so atypical, and then suddenly that's all going to go, and then the bomb thing, and it's all kind of coming to a head. It's absolutely brilliant.
It's great. There's a real logic to this as well, which is the guns, the blocking of it, and everything. It's.
Yeah, and when Davros's head collapses like that, you automatically think he's dead. He's gone. Davros is gone. You know, the Doctor's finally got rid of him.
That's it. Collapse, suck the air out of the mask. We've got him. You've done it, Master. You've killed him.
Mask there looks quite a bit like how he does in Remembrance, doesn't he? It's we were looking at the figure today.
There he is. Then the real Davros is revealed. Place your guns on their floor.
Do you know, I was hearing that Terry Malloy apparently has Davros's finger.
Yeah, no, it's
Colin
Baker has it.
Got it, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this in the other one, didn't we?
Yeah.
This is an odd shot. I think it's because of the compositing, but he's
supposed to be floating.
It always feels really weird because Davros is in midair.
Yeah, there is on the I think it's on the collection box set and in the DVD. There's they fixed or tried to fix some of the special effects, and I think even they still struggled with this one because of just the way everything's in the shot. They couldn't quite make it. So I think they fuzzed a lot of it out by putting a big glow underneath Davros's floating chair. You know.
It looks like his
weirdly horrific, just because you
the growing Dalek.
But the transparent Dalek has sort of finally materialized, and you kind of feel that they might survive, and then they just get wiped out for no reason. Again, it's just that thing of like nobody's coming out of this.
No.
Well,
they are literally falling down one by one here now, aren't they? They're dropping like flies.
The translucent Dalek is really cool. You mentioned that last time, didn't you, Al? That trying to actualize that as a figure would be very difficult.
It's quite difficult. I mean, we did it for the Pertwee story, Planet of the Daleks, where the Third Doctor sort of sprays the Dalek. But the reality is, with toys, as you might know, when you sort of mold them and then have to stick them together, there's screws and all those internal components and stuff. It doesn't look like it would on film. It looks like you've basically made a toy transparent and all the internal gubbins is in there. So
you can see it all there.
You can kind of suspend belief to a degree, but then there's another bit of your brain kind of goes, meh.
Let's see the little screws and everything. Yeah. See, now this is quite interesting as well, because now we've got Kara, who we've always seen in a sort of pastel, pristine corporate office, and now she's getting down and dirty in the dungeons.
Everything comes down to the catacombs.
Doesn't it?
It's almost that thing of everybody's laid low at this point. They're all in the catacombs.
Except here, Davros respects Orsini here. He knows that him being who he is, a Grand Knight of the Order of Oberon, really means something. You know, Kara's just dismissed him, but Davros is like, no, he's not just anybody.
Scene where he says, "Oh, this is a bomb," and she goes, "No, it's not a bomb," and he just starts typing in basically the command structure for the detonation, and she's going, "Oh shit!" Like, okay, it is a bomb. That's a shocker. That was the most shocking thing when I watched it. That sort of needle that comes out,
stiletto,
and it's like,
it's a great line though, isn't it? You know, no, we both die, you before me.
Yes, and it's just oh god,
it's a brutal story.
It is
absolutely brutal. It just does not. It doesn't stop. It doesn't relent. Even in these bits with the DJ,
that's what I mean.
They kind of push the stress.
The doctor's walking along the corridor and he hears Perry scream, and he's like, "She's dead," and he kind of runs off, and it's just.
Ooh, look at that one! I love it when a Dalek explodes.
Don't quite love that special effect, but I love the
This is one I think where the revised, the special edition, you know, the updated special effects do actually work better. I think. I don't think they add to the story. I think the story is strong enough that it kind of doesn't matter really how shonky some of the effects are. But
the bit that I find slightly annoying about that, it's a bit like this scene here where the Doctor walks around the corner and the Daleks are waiting. The DJ kind of falling for the old kind of like, oh, I've killed Dalek, and then the second one appears and blasts him. It just feels a bit meh.
Well, I suppose the DJ's just a guy, isn't he? You know, he's not. He's not trained or anything.
I think you could have taken the DJ and Perry out of this story and had her off shopping on, you know, Shop World. And
I was just wondering how would they've integrated Perry in with what the Doctor's getting up to, and she'd have just been running along behind him, wouldn't she? Really, because he's leading it all here. And
I think Perry would have been a shoe-in for the Tassenbecker role, but it wouldn't have had the punch.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have had the punch that.
No, it does. It needs that history between Joe Bell and Tassenbecker, doesn't it?
And it needs that kind of like, you know, she kills him and then he kills her. It's like you say, Paul. The body count is just extraordinary in this.
Yeah. And that's why we were talking last week as well about things, you know, hiding under the surface, you know, having one appearance, then having an actual hidden agenda almost, you know, another purpose. And even here, even with Davros, you know, we got Davros in the tank, and now we've got the real Davros. All those layers are starting to peel off. Even at the start of this episode, you know, when we had the tombstone falling on the Doctor, it turns out it's not really, it's a lightweight prop almost. You know, there is so much kind of, there's a lot of props and tapestry and paintings and smoke and mirrors all between the Doctor and Davros until we get to this moment, and now it's just the two of them, unrevealed together, and we get one of those brilliant dialogues between the Doctor and Davros that we always get when they're in a room together.
Yeah. I still feel robbed of seeing 11 and 13 with Davros. But then
I think that's an interesting point, and I do agree with you. I mean, I'm conflicted in a sense because I always feel Davros, when he's around, diminishes the Daleks, and the Daleks without Davros tend to be more.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they're a lot more cunning, and they have a bit more personality, don't they?
It's kind of like, the Capaldi story where Davros was supposedly dying. That had so much impact until the point where it was like, oh, he's not dying. And it was just kind of like, actually, a loss of a major character at that point would have had more impact.
Yeah,
absolutely, than kind of having him not die. And it's one of those things where it's sometimes it's good to wave goodbye to certain characters, and that would have been a good point to kind of do it.
It's a bit
which
like...
would leave the Daleks actually and arguably more compromised, because whenever they've got into shit and they can't handle it, they've always gone back to Davros, and Davros was actually at that point out of the picture. It changes that whole dynamic.
Yes, it's a bit like comics though in some ways. They kill off Dr. Octopus, but he's going to be back in a few years. They can't sort of really stay away from it all, and I suppose the audience changes and they come to expect the classic stuff coming back.
This is a great scene though, with the grey Daleks, which obviously leads into Revelation, sort of turn up, and they're sort of like, "Hi, we're here to help. We're the Daleks." You're going like, oh shit! Party. Everybody's getting diced in the crossfire in about 10 minutes.
They're gonna have to make a move. There's Kara being carried out. Eleanor Bron, she's good in this.
Kara's a great. I love Kara's character. I think she sort of plays it. I think Doctor Who always works better, in my mind, where people play it straight. No matter
absolutely.
What.
Yeah. Well, they all do in this, probably with the exception of Alexei Sale, who is definitely struggling, I think. But, when you look at some of the dialogue William Gaunt's given, in anybody else's hands, that could be really hammy. But again, they play it straight, like you're saying, they're giving it the weight that it needs. There we go. Oh, there's Davros's hand gone.
That's grim, isn't it? Grim for a Tuesday evening, as it was then.
Imagine eating your chips with that. There's the finger.
There it is. I wonder which one Colin's got.
That's quite old now, that finger. I mean, it must be humming a bit, surely.
More decayed,
So now we get a good old Dalek shootout, don't we? Dalek v Dalek.
Yeah, I love Davros. Davros's aggression is just, he is this emaciated guy in a wheelchair, and he's kind of like, he's going,
he's still ranting.
He's just properly in the Doctor's face. There is no compromise.
Colin's reaction.
Colin just raised his eyebrows. It's brilliant. Dalek shootout. It's a little bit static, I guess. I'm going to be quite a bit critical, but I mean, this is all in studio, isn't it? This stuff.
Yeah. So. Look at that, though. The Daleks are whizzing around. Davros kind of moving back there. That kind of the threat, and then the Imperial Daleks.
Yeah.
It's quite weird what's happening in the top left, because obviously the Imperial Dalek and the Grey Dalek have kind of gone off.
Yeah, sorting out a shot.
Yeah, clearing stage right. Yeah.
But it's nice because it's funny, because you don't realise until you watch Remembrance that this is kind of the cusp of the kind of purity issue of
that's right.
Are you a Scarosian heritage Dalek, or are you a Davros kind of abomination Dalek, and it's weird. It's got it's obviously got themes and issues that kind of resonate even today. The race issues, and you're human, but you're a different color, or you're human and you have a different religion. And,
you think
and
differently,
even carrying it forward to parting of the ways and stuff like that, where it's almost all about religion. The Emperor is the god of the Daleks, and they worship him. And Chris Eccleston's like, when the hell did Daleks start? Having religion.
Yeah, quite. Yeah. I always remember the voice on that one was like Dalek voice on steroids, wasn't it? It was so good.
Yeah.
There they go. There goes Davros.
Oh, well, I just saw the deflated head there.
Yeah, it's still behind him, that latex, isn't it? But it's not over yet. Now, if memory serves, the novelisation of this that Eric Saywood eventually got around to writing many years later, there's a whole second plot to this. It's like a C plot almost, involving some guy with a penchant for explosives, literally rigging the whole place up ready to explode, which maybe gives it a little bit more impetus than what we see on TV, perhaps.
Have you read a lot of the?
But this is classic Dalek, isn't it? It's like, okay, we've got what we want, but now we're going to kill everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just run around and mop up everyone else. I love that. My vision is impaired. My vision is impaired. Emergency. So all you got to do to really do a Dalek is just blind it for a bit with a scarf, a hat, a bit of chewing gum, mud.
Bernard Cribbins does with a paintball gun in.
There you go. Yeah.
Journey's End or Stolen Earth. I can't remember which one.
Then the Dalek kind of burns it off, doesn't it? And it's like,
and I believe it also says my vision is impaired then as well.
Yeah, it's kind of a Dalek thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've got to run to the loo, guys, very quickly. I will be back.
We'll carry on.
Carry on. Talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves. So they can't they can't destroy the place totally. They just need to get rid of Davros's Daleks, don't they?
Yeah.
So just destroy what's in the catacombs without taking out any of the other stuff. For one thing, you've got a whole bunch of planets dependent on the food product, and then you've got a whole bunch of, well, presumably you've still got some stiffs in storage, so to speak.
So is this the last time Davros is seen until Remembrance?
It is indeed. Yeah, when he emerges as Emperor of the Daleks.
Yes. Yeah, I do feel like 11 didn't have the Master and he didn't have Davros.
No, that's right. No.
12.
But he did have some pretty good Dalek stories. I do like Matt Smith's Dalek stories. You know, I know Asylum comes in for a bit of stick online, but it's one of my favourites.
Yeah, it's a good story.
I do like Stephen Moffat's Dalek stories. You know, I think he does things with the Daleks that I've never known anybody else to do. You know, he tries to get under their skin. He tries to get inside their minds. You know, build stories around the way that they think and you know, push their behaviour to extremes to see where a Dalek can go, how you can make it more interesting, you know.
And I think also, you know, Magician's Apprentice, which is familiar, there's some fantastic stuff between Davros and the Doctor in there. And
there is, you know, I think there's also some bizarre stuff as well. The Doctor wheeling around, the Doctor wheeling around with a cup of tea in Davros' chair. It is incredibly funny, but totally bonkers, you know. But
and he does just pull the cup of tea out of nowhere. I think that's one of the ones
where kind of the gravitas isn't quite there. You kind of think if those two got face to face, I guess. Boom. I mean, I like it because you got that sense that happens as you get older, which is like it's not worth having this, you know, I'm not speaking to you, you're not speaking to me kind of aspect. It's definitely got that, but I do agree that it kind of, there's some bits we just think it's a bit too it's a bit too. I suppose it comes back to my philosophy, my headcanon that Doctor Who is different planet every week, all of time, all of space. Don't spend your time, going up your own backside and sort of exploring the Doctor's personal history. And the idea of the Doctor saved Davros, it's the Hitler thing, isn't it? Of like, which is back to Genesis, which is, if you knew a child that was going to grow up, it was going to be absolutely horrible. And then it's exactly that scenario.
Exactly, that's it.
Just kind of undoes some of it. Kind of undoes some of it because you're suddenly seeing Davros as a kid who's not, he hasn't suffered those injuries and he hasn't become
not yet
what he's going to become.
Which is kind of the tragedy in a way, the fact that this kid becomes that person, isn't it? It's kind of the Darth Vader thing, from Anakin Skywalker to Darth Vader, that innocent kid who is going to become a monster.
It is, and it's a tragedy of the Daleks because it's that last decision that Davros makes on screen of, where I think one of the scientists kind of wanders up and goes, they don't show any pity, and Davros basically goes, don't worry about that, just get rid of all that, just have it so they're doing what we want them to do. And then it literally comes back to Kiki in the nuts or him in the nuts because he's created the thing. So at the end he's like, have you no pity? And they were like, no.
That's what you made us. High spice over tard again. Oh, what a good story that is. Do you know that second episode moves at a bit of a lick, doesn't it? I think it just, a couple of minutes at the start and then boom, straight in. Everybody's dying. There's Daleks everywhere. There's battles. There's shenanigans. There's manipulations. And it's just fantastic. I remember when this went out.
For me, that's up there with
definitely,
Colin Baker's era. That's very new.
That and Cybermen.
This totally sold me on Colin's Doctor now. When we got to the end of this series, and I didn't know. I mean, I do remember the news reports earlier on in this series when it broke that it was going to take an extended break after this, and of course that was why they cut the end of this slightly, didn't they? Because the Doctor was going to take Peri to Blackpool because she wanted to go somewhere fun, right? And that would have been the lead into the next story, which would have been the Nightmare Fair, which was the return of the Celestial Toy Maker, or just the Toy Maker. And of course that never happened because it was all kind of cancelled or put on hiatus and all of that sort of stuff. But you know what? When this went out, I thought, yes, it's grim, it's dark, but I love it, and I probably love it more than I ever did. It is such a strong story, such a strong season.
It's great. I think the writing's good, the lighting is fantastic.
It's brilliant.
And it's weird because they suffered weather problems with the snow suddenly.
That's right. Yeah.
But all that adds to it, and you kind of go away from that story thinking,
gives it atmosphere. Gives it unreal.
Like I say, it's back to the stuff I always really loved with Doctor Who, which is like sometimes you can't save everybody, and sometimes you can't save anybody. It's just you've kind of and it's one of those times where the Doctor doesn't come out of it. He doesn't come out of it well. He doesn't come out of it bad. He just survives, and I think that's quite good.
That's it. Again, which is similar in a way to Androzani, isn't it? The Doctor's whole reason for getting through that story is just to survive. That's all he's got to, and get Peri out. In the end, it's not even about him surviving. It's about him making sure Peri survives, even at the cost of his life. It's such a we got to do that one because that is such a strong story. Although I would probably talk over all of it, to be honest, because I agree.
I think Androzani's another one that's got that same thing, that it's got great lighting, it's got that portent of doom over the whole thing. I think you're right. You kind of know that nobody's coming out of this well. You've got Morgus as this sort of big bad, the Emperor sort of figure who sort of comes undone. Sharis Jek is a sympathetic character up to a point, and then suddenly even that goes
crosses
south,
the line.
and then you're like, holy crap, now it's down to Perry's basically dying, and Doctor basically goes, okay, I'll make sure you're safe. There was only enough for you.
And there's that shot in Androzani, isn't there, where Perry is in the arms of what's the android? There's an android that has been working against them. Your man there. We have to watch it. And there's that brilliant shot in the final episode where the android's sort of bent over, and Perry it's just kind of holding Perry to keep her alive. It's just full of brilliant stuff.
Yeah, it's
good.
Yeah, it's fabulous. It's real nice.
So how do we rate this story then? Is it up there with the best?
For me, as a Sixth Doctor story, I think it's I'd put it slightly above Attack, so I'd give it a solid 9.
Okay.
I think it's a great story. I think it's exactly what Colin's Doctor should have been kind of doing all the time, and unfortunately never quite got the chance to do. And I do think Doctor Who should challenge you, and I do think Doctor Who shouldn't always be nice to watch. And I think this is one of those ones where they got it spot on.
They got it on, yeah. Jeff, what about you?
Yeah, same. But do I like this more than Cybermen? No, I probably like Cybermen a little bit more. It's
Attack of the Cybermen, right?
Yeah. It's got the sort of nostalgic element to it, and there's some fun stuff with the TARDIS changing and getting stuck and things. But from a more sort of technical point of view, the way this one was shot and lit and stuff, I think it's superb. And I do always like a Davros story as well. So yeah, this is almost picking between your two kids, or three in my case. I have to.
I saw your Facebook page and I was like, how many? Really?
How many is he giving birth to?
What the hell? Those were some long evenings.
Yeah.
It's very potent in Horsham, obviously, isn't it?
Yeah, I only have to go near people. Yeah. 9 months later.
Oh dear!
I just want to read a little comment that popped up on YouTube for our Emperor Davros figure.
We've moved on to that now, have we? That was quick.
Yeah, it just came up, and I just thought you'd like to hear it out.
Go on.
Thanks for the great review, guys. So glad they have been able to release this again. A bit of a holy grail finally discovered. A great figure. I'll be hunting for this and any other sets at B&M this coming week. Hopefully, it won't be too painful an experience.
Brilliant.
So that's quite nice to see.
That's good. That's good. That's nice.
Yeah, we do mostly get nice comments on our YouTube, don't we, from people? The occasional one or two that.
That's one of those figures. I can remember it's really weird because I can remember at the time being indifferent isn't the word.
Yeah.
But it seemed such a straightforward figure at the time. I to quote Sean Connery, I can only blame myself.
That's very good. Is that Sean Connery in the room right there?
I kind of didn't care enough to get a lot of the details right, and it was surprising this time round how much I didn't get right. Things like the inside of the dome being painted gold, the sort of edges of the hexagonal window being gold, not black. It looks black, but it's actually gold. Davros's pallor being so deathly, sort of grey-green at that point. And it's interesting because, Paul, the way you're holding it, on screen it does exactly that because it's. I don't know whether it's high contrast, but you see Davros's face and it's very colourless.
Yeah, it's very ghoulish.
And he has
there is colour in there, isn't
makeup on the eyes and mouth, so you get that kind of. So that was actually a perfect kind of.
Shot there.
It's exactly
it looks
that. He
so good.
Looks like a face in a black shroud.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it's really skull-like with
exactly that.
Yeah.
Whereas the first time, I guarantee you, the first time, I distinctly remember somebody saying, "What head should we use for this?" And I said, "I'll stick the same head we did on the previous guy on this one." And it was so wrong. It was completely wrong. So, yeah, I'm always a fan of kind of updating and kind of trying to make better. And I think it is better, personally. I know a lot of people have said about the wires and stuff, and they are right to a degree. It's interesting because I went with a Mike Tucker restoration of the Davros figure, which is slightly more sort of grey blue monotone cabling, and a lot of people rightly sort of said, "Oh, on screen and behind the scenes shots he's got a little bit more color." And he does, but a lot of it's ribbon cable. And I remember thinking that the first time we did it, it looked a little bit messy. It wasn't particularly nice. So, yeah.
But I think it is like that in Remembrance, though, isn't it? You know, when his dome opens in that episode, it is full of all kinds of wires. They've literally just ripped out wires from everywhere and thrown them into his dome. You know, and he's kind of covered in this ridiculous spaghetti.
Well, you don't even see the arm. You know, it's just
exactly.
He's trying to become more of a Dalek. You know, and
more
it's
of a machine.
I remember at the time. I can't remember whether Radio Times atypically spoiled it, or whether it was. I remember thinking, "Bloody hell, it's Davros!" You know, it's like you kind of had that Century 21.
The big gold dome, wasn't it?
Thing. And I should have realised. I remember at the time I was thinking, I'm an idiot. I should have realised it was Davros, but I didn't.
Yes, I didn't either. I just thought, oh, brilliant! They brought the Emperor Dalek in from the TV 21 comics. It's like, no, it's actually Davros. I was actually quite disappointed when it was revealed to be Davros, in a way. I'm not going to lie, because I thought, oh no, because
I was a bit disappointed by the fact that you saw the torch.
Yeah,
he had literally been, and you were thinking, why would Davros be sitting there holding a torchlight up?
Yeah, and it kind of fades back from the hexagon, doesn't it?
It's very obvious he sort of takes it away. And you're like, well, that looks rubbish.
No, see, I didn't think of it like that. I just thought, something's retreating through the dome. It's changing inside, like a metamorphosis or something, and then it comes up and it's only bloody Davros, at the end of the day. So, and it's what you were saying earlier, Al, about the Daleks being stronger without Davros. And Remembrance is one of those stories. We get the best part of 3 episodes with no Davros for the first time since Planet of the Daleks, really. Davros has been in every story up until that one.
And you have that thing in, I think it's episode 2, where you have somebody in a Davros style chair, and you go, shit, it's Davros. And then
that's it. And then it isn't. It's the battle computer.
Oh crap! Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It turns out, so it kind of plays on a lot of things. But yeah, Remembrance is brilliant. And then of course, when Davros comes into it at the end, he's just a kind of a ranting. Is Davros on rant mode, high up, turned up to 11.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
And it's quite interesting looking at this one, Revelation of the Daleks, thinking about Remembrance, because here Davros is the great manipulator, isn't he? He's the one who sets the trap for the Doctor, gets him in. But in Remembrance, it's a reverse of that. It's the Doctor who sets the trap. Turns out the Doctor's been setting the trap since he was William Hartnell.
It's similar to Silver Nemesis in that respect.
Yeah.
I agree with you, because Davros thinks he's got the upper hand, and it's like he's like, don't use the hand of Omega.
Yeah,
like,
that sounds even better in Scottish. Don't use the hand of Omega.
And it's like, hey.
Right. As if I was going to do that, right? I'd never use the hand of Omega, whatever the fuck it is, anyhow. Sorry, mate.
And then it flies back afterwards, and it's like, yes, I used the hand and vaporized the planet. You're like, oh my God. What are you doing next? I'm making scones.
So we fish supper coming out here.
But it is. I like that. It is that kind of trip up of kind of like, whatever you think you're smart, the Doctor's 5 steps ahead of you.
The Doctor's smarter.
I think that was the thing about the 7th Doctor that I particularly liked, was you always got that impression that I think they took what the second Doctor did and they kind of built on it and kind of did that.
Yeah, agreed.
The Doctor's the smartest person in the room. He doesn't look like he's the smartest person in the room. But whatever you think you're thinking of, he's already
he's way ahead.
And it's racing along. Yeah.
He's multiple steps ahead.
So, shall we have a little chat with you, Al, about some other figures that will have recently been revealed by the time this comes out?
Dun, 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 dun.
We've commented.
I don't know what those are. Where did you get those? Was that from eBay?
They just kind of dropped in. Lorry, it was like actually. The hole opened in my ceiling, and it was whoa, what's this?
Like, more importantly, have you opened things and actually taken the figures out or not?
We have, yes.
Yeah.
And you keep outdoing yourselves with the packaging.
You do.
I must say that as well.
The packaging, I think, on this one is interesting. It looks great, but I'm not sure it's practically good. But I absolutely love these figures. We have not done
brilliant.
I mean, if that was the last thing I ever did for character or for Doctor Who, I am as proud as I can possibly be of what we did for those figures, because they are late. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I think we're about a month late on where we should. But they are next level, and I can give you some insight into that. If
please,
want.
Please, yes.
They are great. We looked at these. We've already recorded our review of these. We've got it in the bag, so to speak. So we have had a good little play around with them, haven't we? So that'll go out when it's good and ready.
And I'm happy to give you some insight. So I'll give you some history, partly to do with why they're late. So basically, what we did was, these were completely different figures. In essence, we've never done figures to this level at all. So we have swivel ball joints on the head.
Yeah.
We've got internal pins on the arms. They were essentially like the Black Series Star Wars figures. So there's internal pins all over the place. They're like, even the knee joint actually swivels left and right.
Yeah, we saw that.
There's waist articulation. There's a whole lot of stuff. What essentially happened was we cut the steel. We made the tools.
Yeah.
They went to the factory. So what happens is the tool maker makes the tools, the molds. That gets transferred to the factory. Went to the factory. Normally, what would happen is the tool maker would send you some shots, and by shots I mean sort of they run the tools and go, "Oh, here's what we're making," and doesn't it look lovely? For whatever reason, I think speed and the fact we were already a little bit tight on schedule, it essentially ended up at the factory, and the factory started making, and I was like, these are bloody awful, the joints, it was
not good.
It was horrible. No. There was some real horrible stuff, like there was some hands that were like on the joint on the wrist, they were too low. Some of the pins on the elbow joints were loose. There was some nasty gate marks all over the place. No. I kind of just lost shit. And I basically
you had to go out, didn't you?
We're not fucking producing these. Why are they at the factory? Because tooling basically isn't signed off. So I don't know what the hell is going on. But so they went back to the tool maker. They got reworked to kind of improve all the things I had issues with. And when I sent out an email, I was like, because I always do my reviews, I go through everything individually, pages, and I was like, I'm not kidding. There was about 2.5 feet on an email of just literally things.
Seriously, oh my goodness,
unbelievable. So they went back, they got reworked, then they brought them. Then they didn't go back to the factory. Then they did shots again for me.
Yeah.
And I kind of went back and said, "This is still not right. That's not right. This isn't right. That's not right." And it was a real hassle.
Yeah.
back and forth. And all the time in the back of my head, I was like, Jesus, these are so different, but they're not good. They're not good. They're not good. You know, so we ended up doing things like Shooty's head was completely recast because there was an issue on the neck. Millie's leg. I got a set of shots. I was out in Hong Kong at the time. I got a set of shots, and they were like, "Look at these!" And I went, "These are fantastic!" And I stuck Millie on the desk, and she went like this. I went, well, something's not right here. There's 2.5 millimeters of difference between the way she does something. And I was measuring. It was like, well, there's something not right because she's 2.5 millimeters shorter on one side.
Yeah.
So it was all that kind of thing.
AI mess kind of thing.
So it's at the point where I was like, geez, am I going to have to scrap this tooling and just like big time? I seriously was worried because I was like, shit, we've committed a shitload of money.
And it's not working.
A whole new bunch of tooling for a complete figure, which we hadn't done for basically 12 years. And it was a whole new sort of methodology to the way we were doing stuff. But actually, it's like all things. You work the problem and you kind of eliminate and eliminate and eliminate.
Yeah,
eventually, we kind of got to the point where we were good. And to the point where I went, actually, these are not just good, they're better than anything we've done. But you kind of cut your teeth, and there's a learning curve when you sort of redo stuff. So.
Because it must be quite scary because you've got the pressure of the actual show itself, right? Generating the need or the want for
that
these
was
figures
it.
kind of globally.
I kept going back and saying, I'm not sending these to Cardiff. I'm not sending these to the BBC because if they see these, they're going to just be like, what the hell are you?
Well, to give you the license almost, isn't it? It's like,
it's I don't think that would have happened, but I knew at that point it wasn't, and it's a weird term, but it wasn't merchandisable. It wasn't at a point where we could actually sell it. So I thought, we're going to have so many problems if we kind of accept this. So it was a real sort of tussle. And actually, the toolmaker kind of went, we screwed up.
Right.
And we did a whole bunch of stuff for us. And the factory kind of said, well, actually, we screwed up a little bit because we kind of accepted the tools coming to us before we actually checked them, and it was all redone. And then you get into deco, and then it's into the subtleties of like, you get somebody and their eyes look like they've been sprayed on like my glasses, and you're like, well, that's not right, And they're like, oh, well, they're working for the paint master. And I'm like, well, I sent you a new paint master, and it's like, oh, there's another 400 quid, just to get another head. That looks good.
There's a huge amount in that goes into making them, isn't there? And I'm not sure.
There really is. I
knew a bit
really
about
the
process for this. You've been telling me, but I don't think people know. Just the difficulties and the things that can just go wrong in it, and
there's so many variables, isn't there?
Yeah,
there's a lot of different parties invested.
It was literally these are. We've been doing essentially. I mean, we call these Gen 3, but in actual fact, they're so different.
Yeah.
Gen 1 figures were the kind of straight, sort of arms go up and down, articulation, hands move in and out because there's a like a mid thigh or a mid sort of upper arm. Then the Gen 2 had kind of ball jointed shoulders, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's really cool." and it's back to that thing we discussed, a long time ago of you can't win. You gotta say to people on Gallifrey base, you go, oh, and the articulation is absolutely fabulous and it's very different. And some guy goes, but it's not the same articulation as I got in the first two. I'm not buying it. What the hell?
There's always some you can't please everybody all the time, Al. That's the thing.
We did better.
Yeah. It's not the same as it used to be.
It is. I mean, it's a massive level of work, and
it is. I mean, the detail on these guys now. My camera's really going to pick it up, but I'll leave it incredible.
To you guys, but for me, the level of detail on these figures, and the way they articulate is just
Oh, yeah, honestly, you know, these are the best figures you've done. You know, the Fugitive Doctor, you know, as we said before, was a pinnacle, but these guys with the detail, the paintwork on them, all the articulation. We did our video, didn't we, Paul? A little while ago.
Yeah.
And then we finished, and I was like, "Oh, I've just discovered you can swing their hips."
Yeah, that's right.
We didn't notice at the time. You know,
give them a little boogie dance, can't you? Like, you know,
and the way the feet move, and you've
over the hips,
got flex on them, and
the knee joints. There's ankle joints. You know, there's neck joints. There's, weirdly, on the hips, actually. So it's the one thing I'm actually reworking. Because the reference figure we gave them to kind of copy had slightly different hip setups, and I think if there's one area where the figures, not that I'm going to cuss them because I'm not, but if there's one area the figures aren't quite as good as it could be, it's a sort of, and it's supposed that no figure would ever be, but that sort of thing of like the hips.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They're a bit more compromised. So we'll change that. But I haven't done a better action figure in my time.
They're really good.
And it's hard because you're on Gallifrey Base and they're like, why is it late? Why is it not out? Why haven't we not got these?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go in. They are coming.
Must be.
You are gonna get them. They are gonna be really good. Just give it a bit of time, and it is. It's you know, it's hard, but you know, if I had to give up Doctor Who tomorrow, if that's what we finally produced, I'm more than happy because I don't think we've come close to that level of figure before. I would arguably put that on a par with anything Hasbro are doing. I personally.
I think it's fantastic, and you know, I know that people want the figures, but you know, things happen, and I think you know, good stuff comes to those who wait, and you know, try being a Hot Toys collector. You know,
you are
2 years.
Some of those are freaking amazing.
Yeah. And you know, they're fantastic work, but you wait a long time. That Scarlet Witch that I got, that I sent you the
price from as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I waited over 2 years for that. From when I first ordered it.
How does that system work? Is it pre-sale and because it's not like Kickstarter? You don't have to reach a certain amount. I assume people just love Hot Toys so much that they kind of go, "Oh, I love this." But you buy it at the point where they release the prototype, and then you wait, and it gets delivered
that's
to you?
it. So they'll release pictures, you know, of the prototype, and then you order your one there and then I guess, you know, somewhere like Sideshow, for example, will have, you know, an allocation that you know will sell out. So there's 500 or whatever that have been ordered, and then they'll get shipped that plus, you know, whatever else on top of it, and then when it's available, there's some more available to buy. So they are in, you know, large but still limited numbers, you know, I think, and it's sort of, it's not really quite it's not a Kickstarter thing, but it is. You wouldn't just be able to go down the shop and, you know, pick one up if you go to Forbidden Planet.
One that you've got, I kind of know what it is, but
it would be the Scarlet Witch, probably closely followed by.
I thought you were going to say Battle Angel because
I mean, she's awesome,
astoundingly good. I thought that was amazing, that figure.
Without sounding dodgy, you need to see her with the clothes off because the bodywork
sounds dodgy.
It does sound dodgy, mate. I'm not going to lie.
You know, if you remember the final metal body that she has with all the plates and the sort of like muscle type elements to it, they've recreated it perfectly, and it's amazing, you know. And
when you get that one, does it have the early kind of arms? You don't get the option to sort of swap in any of the early sort of arms and stuff, because when early in the story she has slightly different.
Yeah, they're like
she kind of gets upgraded, doesn't she?
Yeah, no, this one is just like the final body, but they will do deluxe figures of some stuff. So like my Captain Marvel has the helmeted head, which you can then exchange for helmetless with the hair down, and then there's also I think there's a version of the helmet, just the long hair, and then with the head, with the helmeted version, you can take out the mohawk and replace it with another one, and then when the head lights up, it lights up the mohawk.
Oh yeah,
and the hands light up as well, but they don't do that on the normal version of the figure. And like the Scarlet Witch, the other one had light up hands as well. But it's
Scarlet Witch is very cool, I have to say.
The Elizabeth Olsen likeness is phenomenal on it. It looks just like her, and it's got a paint job. If you put it under UV light, her eyes would glow red, which is quite cool. I need to buy UV light just for that. But so yeah, I think they're brilliant. They're really good. So when are these figures due out, and are there some other variants coming as well?
Yeah, so we're at point of recording, we're 4th of October. I think the Sonic went out 2 weeks ago, or give or take 2 weeks ago. We're in theory about a week to 2 weeks away from these being announced. So
yeah,
hopefully they'll be out. And then weirdly, retailer are gonna get their version of the figures, which frankly are no less fantastic. If anybody thinks what you're getting from CO and what you're getting from, they're essentially variants. And being completist, I would imagine most people would want both.
But
I actually, it's weird because I think the 15th Doctor online exclusive version is cool because it's got the accessories.
Yeah,
and I love the Ruby, which comes with the accessories.
Yeah, little mobile phone.
Yeah.
The retail version of Ruby, I think, is fabulous. The denim jacket version of her is just as good, and it's honestly really just absolutely brilliant. In some ways, I like it a little bit more.
Oh, really?
Then it's weird because with the CEO exclusive, I love the tartan skirt. I think it's really cool. But then with the retail version, I kind of the sort of denim effect of the jacket, I think, is really cool as well. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing those. And what's the Doctor got? What's his variation?
So with the CEO exclusives, he comes with the mine from
from Boom.
Boom. Yes, he does.
He has psychic paper, and he has the Sonic, the blue Sonic.
Blown out.
You got it.
The Ruby comes with her handbag. It's terrible because we've moved on, but essentially she comes with her shoulder bag, which it's quite cool. And I don't think it's one of those things where
there it is.
That goes on in a particular way.
Yeah, I put it around her neck. I think it's something like that. It sort of swings to the front.
The other way, under the collar of the shoulder and under the jacket. So I'll send you a picture of how it sits.
Yeah.
But actually, when it's in position, it sits really well. But I had exactly the same thing. I opened one up and I was like, I don't know how the hell this bag goes on. And I remember I must admit, I'm not really well.
Not often used to dressing dolls, but I'll give it a go.
Yeah, so it flips the other way.
Yeah.
You'll notice there's a little notch under the collar on that side. So the strap goes under that. She wears it to her right-hand side. The bag sits at the front, and it goes under the jacket, sort of under that sort of drop-down belt. So so she's got that and her phone. And then the retail versions don't have any accessories. I think the Doctor has a Sonic, but Ruby doesn't have anything. But it's a different version of his shirt, different colored trousers, but still the long jacket. And the Ruby is a denim one. And I like that, I think, more. So,
Okay. Oh, well, looking forward to seeing those. And are they going to be at Twin Planet and Argos and stuff like that?
Yes, cool. And I think you guys have you guys got something special that's coming later in the year as well that I may have sent you. So you've got that. So
very excited
we might
by
well
that.
do.
Thank
Yes.
you. Yes.
And as always, if whatever I get, I'll send you. So
thanks. I'm getting into these things
signed
now.
up this week for next year. So so what I can say is there's more coming, which is really cool. There's some surprising things coming, which is really cool. Ooh. And then, I think, yes, it's good. I think we'll maybe see less at B&M, less, fortunately. We had 4 last year. I think we've got 3 this year.
Yeah.
But you'll see more character online exclusives, which means that the money's going there, which means
absolutely.
You're getting something different. You're getting something new, cool, different. So, and there's some stuff coming that the collectors are going to lose their shit. That's what I'm going to say. They're going to lose their shit. So,
that's what we're going to see. It's nothing like an apoplectic collector.
So I'm going to just throw that out.
Yeah.
Some stuff you're gonna,
but we do. Do you know? I think we've all got at least a bit of that gene in us. You know what I mean? It's just that thing. You know, you see something that you just know is off the wall, and it's like, oh my goodness, gotta have that.
Yeah,
gotta own it.
Yeah,
you know?
It's a lot of fun seeing. Seeing people. Getting their Sonics recently and sharing that online, celebrating that, and being excited for the figures. When Fugitive came out, people losing their mind over that and things, and it's great being part of that community and seeing the joy that the work that you and Ed and the team do, that the joy it brings people, and
I was so pleased on the Sonic because. It's weird. Everybody has exactly the same reaction as I had. My whole team were like, I don't like that. And then I brought the working one into the office and I said, oh, look what I've got. And I played with it and they all went, holy shit, that's freaking amazing. And instantly it went. And it's exactly the same with that. Like you watch people and then they're like, well, I don't like the design. I'm not getting that. I guarantee you, the minute they see it, they'll be like, I've got to have that. I've got to have that.
I've seen, few people going, oh, I'm not that keen. I don't think I'll buy that. And they'll just think, when you see it, I know you will,
Yeah, and that's absolutely it. They see it and they kind of go, this isn't quite, It's not. It kind of challenges my expectations.
It's so wildly different.
But still got to have it.
And it's very cool with all its features and functions.
It's cool. I know people. It's always that thing of it's price and whatever, and people go, oh, it's expensive. Yeah, it's expensive, but bloody hell, there's a lot in that toy.
Oh yeah, it's a huge amount. Yeah, and it's fully functioning, screen accurate, and
scares the hell out of the cat. The cat runs a mile every time I wave it around. So
excellent.
Yes,
put that on the box next time.
Excellent. Scares cats, makes them run away very quickly. Oh yes, that's what you need. Big graphics, those explosive things, 70s style.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, do you know what? This has been a lot of fun yet again, Al. It has been an absolute delight and a pleasure for having you join us, my friend. Yes. And thank you so much.
Feel like we should do this again on another episode.
We should. Definitely. I really enjoyed it. I love that story. I think it's fantastic. Jeff, obviously, and I have a commonality because we have small rodents next to us. And I think, honestly, Paul, if you don't invest in a small rodent, then frankly, you're not pulling your weight.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go down the SPG route, aren't I? Get my.
No, it's brilliant. That's a perfect episode.
It's a good one.
Just talking about.
Well, shall let you pick the next story that we look at, Al, perhaps. Next time we do one, we'll let you pick the story and see if you can...
we talked originally about a Tom Baker story, didn't we?
Oh, we did,
we were talking about Planet of Evil. But I'm easy. I get that as time marches on, everything moves slightly forward, and it's
it
sometimes to go back to, to sort of some of the early ones, but because they just don't.
But we should,
the same pace.
Doesn't matter. No, we could do it. I mean, cause we've looked at a fair share of classic adventures, haven't we? Probably underrepresented in our podcast, actually, thinking about it, some of the black and white stories. Things like maybe the War Machines, which is a favourite of mine. The Moon Base, 10th Planet, a lot of those sort of stories, early Troughton, late Hartnell.
I'd go for some of those because I think those are absolutely the sort of epicenter of the behind the sofa.
Because
I think what people don't realise is, back when there was only a choice of one channel or two channels, that was Saturday night viewing, and I think also the format, the slightly fuzziness and the black and white nature. It's lovely that the BBC clean everything up and make it all
but it seems to take something away in doing so, though, doesn't it? Often,
it's sometimes you just think, actually, the Cybermen in that slightly contrasty. Because I remember when your TV basically had, the on-off button. Contrast button.
Brightness and contrast. That was pretty much the volume, wasn't it? That was it.
The volume, yeah. It was like 3 buttons.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
You kind of got that thing, and you kind of. I know the effects were a bit shonky, but sometimes with things like the Cybermen, it's like they're utterly terrifying.
Well, you look at them in Tomb of the Cybermen. The way they're the way they're almost insect-like when they crawl down from that big gallery of tombs, aren't they?
Yes,
kind of just move around. You got that bizarre music. Ding, 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 ding,
ding, it's interesting because that kind of continued into Pertwee's era, didn't it? With
Malcolm Clark's.
You're going, oh shit.
It's Jeff's wife's favourite sound in the universe, isn't it?
That is just what I was going to say. I can't watch any sort of early classic Who if she's in the room because she's like, what is this shit music? And she really doesn't like it.
Oh dear, God bless. Right. Brilliant. Right, we're coming up to an hour and 30. Let's just say thank you to our wonderful listeners for listening to our wonderful episode of Who Corner to Corner. Thank you to our very special guest, Al Dewar of Character Options, and just generally thank you to Millie and to Shooty for joining us at the very last minute. And Al, thanks for all the insight.
No worries, and thank you to you guys. Like I say, I love the fact that you just talk about stuff.
Yeah, we do. It's talk about shit, don't we?
We just talk about it like it's and I like people to go, that's good, that could have been better. This is good, that could have been better.
Yeah,
this is
constructive criticism is welcome sometimes, but it's there's no need for that when everything is this good,
No, but and even when we're watching the episodes, the fact that somebody has a different viewpoint, and you suddenly go, "Oh, I never even thought about that." And I think
I've been really enjoying listening to you guys talking about this episode, this serial.
It's been fun listening to you talk about it as well, Jeff.
Well, I've not said that much because I've been listening, So there's two experts on it. So it's really good.
Maybe we should let Jeff pick the next story that we look at then.
Yes, let's do that. And
we could do.
Yes,
yeah. You guys stay silent, and I'll talk.
Shut up. Leave it to Jeff.
But before we go, I'll say there's far worse ways to spend a Friday night. So thank you.
Oh
guys.
yes,
this
there
has
indeed.
Been really good.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
We'll do this again soon.
Thank you so much.
Until the next time. Bye, listeners. See you next time. Bye for now.